We're going to get right to our guest, Susan Collins, Senator from Maine, and of course the ranking member on the Homeland Security Committee. And I want to ask you right out, are you concerned about the terror threat right now in the wake of the killing of bin Laden?
I am. I just had an exchange with Secretary of Homeland Security, Janet Napolitano, and I told her I thought it would have been prudent for the administration to immediately elevate the terror threat level until we can review the materials that were seized in Osama's compound, and until we get an update worldwide, an intelligence assessment of the impact of bin Laden's death.
So you think the terror threat needs to be raised right now?
I do. Under the new system, it's raised in 2-week intervals. That would have given us enough time to make an assessment of whether we're at significant risk. After all, the director of the National Counterterrorism Center has said that there is a higher risk of a retaliatory strike against our country. And just to be on the prudent side, for the next 2 weeks, I would raise the terror threat level.
But just to be clear, you're not seeing any signs of a specific incredible threat, a specific threat, but you think it's the threat environment, kind of a common sense thing that there would be retaliation?
It's a common sense approach to do an assessment. We have all these materials, computer disks, etc., that were seized by our Navy SEALs from the compound. Those need to be fully reviewed and exploited. And until that process, at least an initial review, has been completed, and until we have a worldwide intelligence assessment of the impact of bin Laden's death, it just seems prudent to me to temporarily elevate the threat level.
Senator, what is not happening now that would happen if we elevated the terror threat level? Because we've heard from Secretary Napolitano and a lot of officials say we're doing plenty of things. We're having it at the local level, at the state level, at the national level. What's not happening though that you think needs to be happening right now?
There would be heightened scrutiny at our borders. There would be heightened scrutiny of people trying to enter the United States. All of those steps would be taken. It also sends an important message to the American public, to state and local law enforcement, to be extraordinarily vigilant, to perhaps have additional patrolling, additional surveillance of people who are suspect, who are in our country. So I think it's an important message to send to the American public. It's not an overreaction. It's not telling people to panic. It's just a prudent step to take until we have a better sense of the materials that were seized in the compound, and until our intelligence agencies have more of an assessment of what the reaction of Al-Qaeda operatives around the world and affiliated groups is to Osama's death.
Do you think that we're going to get information out of those materials that's going to be about specific threats that are still, under some level of planning at this point?
I'm very optimistic that that is going to prove to be a treasure trove of important information about contacts, pending threats against the country, plots that are underway, operatives. I mean, it's difficult to know for certain, right, but clearly there was a great deal of material seized from the compound, and I am hopeful that it will give us very useful intelligence information.
Senator, as you know, there's a debate now raging inside the White House about whether to release the photos of Osama bin Laden. I'm curious as to whether you think this is a prudent step, or are you concerned from a Homeland Security perspective that this could enrage people or make them act or motivate them to act in ways that would be unpredictable?
I understand that this is a very difficult debate. But what I'm worried about is there will be this mythology that will arise that somehow Osama bin Laden escaped or isn't really dead, or someone else was killed, despite the fact that it clearly was Osama who was caught and killed in this raid. So I think if there's a way to release a couple of the pictures, hopefully ones that aren't as gruesome, they're going to be inherently gruesome because there were shots to his head, that it would help prevent that mythology from arising. But it is a tough call. I've not seen the pictures. It's my understanding from talking to him that the CIA director, Leon Panetta, believes that we should release some of the pictures, and I think that that would put to rest any new conspiracy theories in the Islamic extremist website world that somehow Osama's still alive.